Think about that first heaviness you feel when the morning alarm goes off. I'm not talking about tiredness. That is physical. What I'm talking about is mental pressure. The reason your feet drag on the way to work isn't the difficulty of the tasks you will do. It is the mask you are forced to wear from the moment you walk through that door. You sit at your office desk, and before you can even focus on your own work, the demands start coming in. Someone pushes a file that is their responsibility onto you, saying, "Just take a look at this." Another expects you to solve a crisis that has nothing to do with you. And you accept all of it just so there isn't any tension, just so you don't look like an incompatible or unhelpful person. When you return home, you are drained. You have no energy left for yourself, your hobbies, or your family. Do you know what the worst part is? When you put your head on the pillow, you get angry at yourself. You ask, why did I accept that? Why couldn't I say no in that moment? In this video, we will talk about how to step out of that Mr. Nice Guy role in business life and transform into the respected professional. We will do this without slamming doors, without shouting at anyone, or without locking ourselves in a room and running away from people. We will do this using the methods of Stoic philosophers who lived thousands of years ago in Rome, right in the middle of intrigue and power struggles. They managed to stand like an unshakable fortress amidst the chaos. Now it is your turn. Let's examine, step by step, how you can draw your boundaries clearly without retreating into seclusion and without being rude. To solve a problem, you must first go to its source. Why does that word no get stuck in your throat? Why do you feel obliged to go to a dinner you don't want to attend or take on a task you don't have to do? Most of us were made to believe from childhood that being compatible is the greatest virtue. We grew up with suggestions like, don't cause trouble, or don't be rude. When we enter business life, these codes continue to work. We believe deep down that if we say yes to everything, people will love us. If we refuse, we will lose love and approval, or even lose our jobs. But the Stoic philosopher Epictetus expressed the danger of this mindset centuries ago in very harsh terms. If you want to be praised by others, you become their slave. Think about this sentence for a moment. Every time you violate your own principles at work, just so your manager or colleague won't frown at you, you are actually giving away a piece of your freedom. You are trying to manage someone else's emotion. Let me do this, so he will be happy. Whereas the first rule of Stoicism is this: how others feel is not under your control. Even if you gave them the world, the person across from you might not be satisfied. The desire for validation is a bottomless pit. You make a concession today, and more is asked tomorrow. Because human psychology is prone to limitlessness. If you don't set a limit, no one will say, "Stop, we burdened this man too much." The first mental revolution here should be this: your purpose in being at work is not to be loved. Your purpose is to do your job well, create value, and get paid for it. Respect is much more permanent and valuable than being liked. And paradoxically, people who have boundaries and whose no is known are respected more than those who say yes to everything, because the one with boundaries has a backbone. Let's come to the most concrete problem: the exploitation of time. You have your own projects, deadlines are approaching, but a voice from the next desk says, "Hey, take a look at this Excel sheet for 2 minutes. The formula is broken." Or you are dragged from meeting to meeting, wasting hours on topics that have nothing to do with you. The Roman philosopher Seneca, in his work on the shortness of life, describes humanity's greatest contradiction. People are very stingy about guarding their money. No one distributes their wealth to others for free or leaves their wallet lying around. But when it comes to their time, they spend it most generously. Yet, time is the only thing that cannot be replaced or replenished. Drawing a boundary at work is actually doing time accounting. When someone asks you for something, you usually only look at the difficulty of that task. You say, "What's the big deal? It will take me 10 minutes. But that 10 minutes breaks your focus process, makes it harder to return to work, and at the end of the day, steals from your own life. The technique you will use here is to show the opportunity cost to the other party. You must present the situation clearly without reacting harshly and without offending. Let's set up a scenario. Your manager or a friend brought you a task outside your priority list. Wrong reaction. "Ugh, I'm up to my neck in work, I can't." This is aggressive and repulsive. Wrong reaction. 2. "Okay, I'll handle it." This is a passive approach that consumes you. The stoic and professional reaction is this: "I can do this. However, I currently have projects A and B on my plate, and these must be finished by tomorrow. If I do this task you brought, the others will be delayed. Which one do you think I should prioritize?" What did you do with this answer? You returned the responsibility and the decision to the other party. You showed them this: my time is not an unlimited resource. I have to take from one place and give to another. Do you take responsibility for this trade? You will often see that those so-called very urgent tasks will suddenly lose their urgency when you offer this choice, because people are generous when spending your time, but they step back when it comes to taking responsibility. The greatest curse of modern offices and digital work environments is constant accessibility. Emails, Slack notifications, WhatsApp groups. Everyone expects you to answer immediately. A constantly interrupted mind can never think deeply, can never produce quality work. Marcus Aurelius lived as an emperor on battlefields, on campaigns, and amidst palace intrigues. But even in that chaos, he managed to create a space for himself. He called this the inner citadel. Even if the outside was a battlefield, his mind was like a calm garden. You need to build this citadel in the office too. But this doesn't happen by shouting, "Don't touch me," at people. You do this with a system. You have to teach people your user manual. The most practical way to do this is deep work hours, turning off your notifications, putting on your headphones, and closing your doors to the outside world for certain hours of the day is not a luxury. It is a necessity. When someone interrupts you at that moment, your reaction is very critical. Most people either get angry when interrupted or immediately drop their work and turn to the person who came. You will do this. Delayed attention. When someone comes to your desk, lift your head and say in a calm tone, "I am in the middle of a very critical calculation right now. If I get distracted, I might make a mistake. I will have finished this section by 11 o'clock. Let's talk then." Look, you didn't refuse here. You just managed the timing. This attitude gives the following message to the subconscious of the other party. This man's work is important. He respects his work. I should respect it too. If you turn around saying, "Yes, sir," to everyone who calls out, you create the perception that your attention is cheap. Defending your right to focus is the most basic boundary. Boundaries at work are not just about workload. Sometimes the more tiring thing is the emotional load. Every office has those types. The ones who constantly complain, gossip, spread negative energy, play the victim. They come to you and try to empty their poison on you. There is a fundamental principle in Stoicism. Do not get caught in others' storms. Seneca sees anger and negative emotions as a contagious disease. If you are not careful, someone else's stress passes on to you. That person relaxes and leaves. You are left alone with that negative energy. So, what will you do when a colleague comes and complains incessantly? Saying "shut up" would be rude. Listening consumes you. Here we will use the gray rock technique. Think of a rock. Its color is gray, ordinary, unresponsive. It doesn't speak, doesn't get excited, doesn't attract attention. When someone comes to you to gossip or complain, minimize your reactions like a rock. Is that so? I see. That's too bad. Do not ask questions. Do not ask for details. Do not open the topic by asking, "So what did you say?" Keep eye contact brief and return to your work immediately. When the other party cannot get that emotional food they expect from you. Meaning, if you don't get angry or gossip along with them, they will get bored and leave. Remember the example of Cato from history. Against Julius Caesar's populist, emotional manipulations in the Roman Senate, Cato never got angry, but never compromised either. He just maintained his stance. People couldn't get sloppy around him because they couldn't breach that wall of seriousness. Build that wall of seriousness in the office too. Let people know that. Work is discussed around you. Solutions are discussed around you. But gossip and empty complaints cannot survive. This doesn't make you a cold person. It makes you a reliable and solid person. We understood the philosophy, but practically, how will those words come out of our mouths? You don't want to seem harsh, but you have to be clear. The most common mistake made here is over-explaining when saying no. Well, actually, I would do it, but my aunt is sick, my cat ran away, and I have a headache anyway. No, a Stoic mind does not produce excuses. It declares a decision. The more excuses you offer, the more persuasion doors you open for the other party. Instead, use the sandwich technique, but the professional version. 1. Positive, constructive entry. Validate the relationship. 2. Clear rejection. Draw the boundary. 3. Alternative solution. Show the way. Example. Someone invites you to a meeting outside working hours or an unnecessary organization. Answer. Entry. Thanks for the invite. I see the importance you give to this project. Rejection. However, I have a pre-planned personal schedule for this evening, so I won't be able to attend. Solution. If you send me the notes first thing tomorrow morning, I will review them immediately and get back to you. Here, you didn't apologize. You didn't beg. You didn't make up an excuse. You just stated the situation. You said personal schedule. What this schedule is concerns no one. Staring at the ceiling at home is a schedule. Reading a book is also a schedule. The important thing is to make them feel that you have a time slot that belongs to you, and this is not open for discussion. Remember, people will test your boundaries The first time you say no, they will be surprised. Maybe they will push a little. They will say, "Come on, nothing will happen just this once." In that moment, remember this quote by Marcus Aurelius: "Be like the rock against which the waves crash, but the rock stands unmoved, and the fury of the water falls to rest around it." If you are consistent in your decision, the waters will calm down, and your boundaries will become the new reality of that workplace. Let's wrap up. Drawing boundaries in business life is not a sign of selfishness. It is a requirement of professionalism. A man who consumes himself, who is blown by every wind, who tries to please everyone, cannot provide any benefit to anyone at the end of the day. If your own cup is empty, you cannot give water to anyone. You don't have to apply everything we talked about all at once tomorrow. Start small. Tomorrow say, "I can't do this right now," to just one thing you don't want to do, and see that the world doesn't collapse. The sun won't set, the office won't burn down, you won't get fired. On the contrary, you will feel a strange power inside. You will feel that control has passed back into your hands. As you draw your boundaries, the time thieves and energy vampires around you will move away from you. People who respect your work discipline and stance will approach in their place. The Stoic man is not harsh, is not rude. He is simply the man who knows what is under his control and what is not, and lives accordingly. Your mind is your citadel. Don't put its keys in anyone's pocket. Take good care of yourself and your potential. See you later.